Hi, and thanks for tuning in to our live radio show. Moments of Clarity with Tiffany will begin in just a few moments. Please stay tuned. Kindly take this opportunity to share this show on your platforms because change can only come when we stand together as one, especially when it comes to ending the stigma on mental health.
You are not alone, and help is out there.
Kids have mental health issues, and we also need to learn coping skills.
Let's get started and let the show begin. See you soon.
Don't put yourself down, time for a change. Believe in yourself, time to rearrange. Be your best friend, bring hope to your day. Lose your critic, get out of your way. Now it clicks, moments of clarity. Now I hear moments of clarity. Now I get it, moments of clarity. To yourself be kind, it will please your mind. Find your joy, trust in you. Put in the time, you'll see how you grow. Many kinds of love you get to define. Find self-love, you're so alive. Now it clicks, moments of clarity. Now I hear moments of clarity. Now I get it, moments of clarity.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Moments of Clarity with Tiffany. My name is Tiffany Werhner. I am a licensed mental health counselor, and I'm your host. And today we're going to be continuing last week's part 1 and 2. We're going to have 3 and 4 with my good friend Kirk Miller, and talking about the myths and the truths and the facts of mental health. And because there are so many different truths and myths, of course. How you doing, Kirk?
Doing pretty well. How about yourself? I know it's raining over there from what you'd said.
That's an understatement. So lightning, monsoon, whatever. So I hope everything stays like the connection stays. And if you're listening in the car, please drive safe. And it's better late than sorry. So take your time driving where we're going, because
information, including a special Florida residence deal, visit us at flysnf.org.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Welcome to Moments of Clarity with Tiffany Werhner, licensed mental health counselor in the state of Florida. Moments of Clarity's mission is to educate and end the stigma on mental health through the inspirational stories of our exceptional guests. You can join in the show by calling Tiffany toll-free at 866-826-1340 or on Facebook and Twitter at MOC with Tiffany. Now, here's Tiffany Werhner.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Moments of Clarity with Tiffany. My name is Tiffany Werhner. I'm a licensed mental health counselor, and I'm your host. And today we're going to be continuing our part 4, so part 3 and 4 this week with Kirk Miller, who we're going to be discussing the truths and myths of mental health, what they mean, and how people can very much misconstrue them. Before we get into that, I want to say hi to Ed.
On a very stormy Thursday. Hello.
Hi.
Ed.
Remember, Kirk. Ed, yeah, it's pretty much raining pretty bad.
Raining. It's more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty bad out there today.
Everyone who's driving in their car should take much precaution and be safe. And
Think a little slower.
yeah, that's what I'm saying before. Better safe than sorry. It's okay to
See, this,
get rid of it.
with everything that goes on in radio shows and all this stuff, this is actually one of the most stressful times right now because every time that lightning goes in here, you're like,
What is it?
is everything going to go out and that's
Yeah.
it? I, knock wood. I mean, we've been hit many times by lightning and it costs thousands and thousands of dollars in equipment.
Yeah, tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Especially with that, I don't know how high it is with that tower. It's like 200 to 300 feet tall.
No, it's only 75 actually.
Okay, so 75 feet tall. From to me, it looks like the height of a.
Yeah, but it's only about 20 yards from the radio station. So
Yeah.
just
Still
think of
a
it
big
when you're
lightning rod.
when you're a lightning storm, you don't want to stand near that thing. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. It's still a big lightning rod.
Yeah.
But yeah, so be safe there. And
Yep.
I just remember, I mean, we've been doing this over 7 years, and every time at lightning, like we're just hope we don't lose service. So Ed, you just better stay with me if I lose Kirk, but I don't think we will.
All right.
We appreciate you, Ed.
We definitely appreciate you always.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we'll just have to go with the flow on this one. But so anyway, Kirk Patrick Miller, if you missed him last week, is amazing. He's a multi-award nominated author, violinist, and music teacher. He suffers with several and is not afraid to say mental health diagnoses, including attention deficit, obsessive compulsive disorder, general anxiety, and so forth. And his life was upended when he refused to give in to the diagnosis he was labeled with, diagnoses. But after first medically documented case of full remission from bipolar due to his endocrine treatment method, he was asked to write his memoir called Chaos to Cured, which we'll talk about that. But then he's also been a co-host with me on Beyond Clarity, and that aired for about a year and a half before. And so and a part of the Moments of Clarity team, as well as so many others that are listening, and we'll give props to our listeners as well in a little bit. But Kirk, how you doing? Welcome to Moments of Clarity, Kirk Patrick Miller.
It's always good to be here, and especially for this particular topic. I know last week we got into some really great discussions, and I know you'd kind of ended on Friday talking about work, even how to deal with that if you have mental health diagnosis. And I know that's a big myth that's out there, that if you are diagnosed with something that you can't function in a job. And I was actually told that by a psychiatrist at one point in time. And they didn't mean it in a bad way. They were trying to tell me that, I was going to face some, struggles and had to be very careful about how I manage my conditions to hold down something that was, a challenging job or needed consistency. But that right there kind of pigeonholed me into believing that I would struggle. And that's something that, I really want to kind of dive into right at the beginning, is that if you have been diagnosed with one or multiple, mental health conditions, it does not mean you cannot function in society. So if you're properly managing your conditions and you're seeking help, you're working with a mental health professional, and you're following what you need to do to stay and remain healthy, you can definitely handle a job, a relationship, a life, a family, children. That's another thing that we didn't ever get into, but that's a big issue. Some people get very scared when they get that diagnosis, like, oh, what's going to happen to my children? Am I going to lose them? So there are some issues like that as well. So I kind of wanted to just jump in with that one and just say right off the bat, it is possible. So don't be fearful if you do get a diagnosis or a family member does. Just be open and talk about it. So that would be my first tip.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've never heard of anyone losing their children because of a mental health diagnosis. It's basically, and I've been interviewed on shows with that about parental alienation and separation and things like that. And it's not the mental health illness or diagnosis that gets in the way. It's how they're handling it. If they're seeking the right treatment or if they're able to function. And if not, are they seeking the right help to be able to function? And especially with employers. And we have a fact that actually you sent me that there's a myth that people with mental health needs, even those who are managing their mental illness, cannot tolerate the stress of holding down a job. And that's a myth. And the fact is, people with mental health problems are just as productive as other employees. And I want to kind of piggyback off of that I don't know anyone that doesn't have a mental health illness or problem, let's just say, not illness.
Agreed.
That divorce or problems with children at home or financial issues or having to move because their property is no longer rent available, or marital issues, or a breakup, or you name
Alcohol abuse. Yeah. Stress, just stress can cause a host of problems. So
Mhm.
I am in total agreement. I think that's one reason why it's so important to, I always advocate seeking out, some help, because I've never been in a situation where, well, I was in a situation where I believed, I could do it all on my own. It's so nice to have someone on your team, so to speak. So if you find a therapist or a psychiatrist or a doctor, whatever direction you choose that really resonates with you, they're a teammate and they're there to help you and guide you. And having that, as a tool to help guide you is so vital. And there, like you said earlier, there's not a single person I know that's never had a single problem, that's always stress free. And that's just reality. So, and that's why I don't like the word disorder either. So when we say mental health, I prefer condition. And there was actually someone that commented on a thing about autism, and they said they don't like the word living with autism. And I really liked the comment because they said, no, it's part of me. I'm not ashamed of it.
Mhm.
And so they said, I am autistic. So I don't want to be, told I'm living with autism. They said, that's what I am. So they took it kind of an even step further than I have. So for the things that I have, the conditions I have, I don't like those to be a label that defines me. But it worked for this individual, and I really liked his comment. So how you deal with it is so vital too, and how you look at yourself, accept what you're dealing with.
Then sometimes I hear the opposite. It's however someone wants to, I think, identify themselves, because some people want to say they live with bipolar, they're not bipolar, or they live with autism, they're not. They the other way.
Exactly.
Some people feel that they're being told that that's who they are, and that they're not living with depression, or they're not depressed. They live with depression or live with anxiety, but they're not anxious all the time. I don't know. So I think it works both ways, whatever fits somebody that makes it feel comfortable, but there's no shame in finding out the diagnosis. The main thing is to find out what the symptoms are. Like, forget the label, who cares? But find out what the symptoms are so that those can be addressed so you can live the happiest, fullest potential in your life, and without intrusive thoughts, if you're diagnosed with autism, find out what social skills can help you. Because usually autism has nothing to do with intelligence or anything like that. It has to do with understanding sarcasm, understanding social skills, understanding how to relate. Where I've interviewed people and that they said that they have a master's degree in sociology, basically, because they've had to adapt to understanding the majority of the population, that when we if we have our way, like we've been saying this for 7 years plus, like I would love for people to say, yeah, well, today I'm taking the day off. I'm going to go get my mani-pedi. I got to see my therapist. I get to see my therapist. I'm going to the chiropractor. It's kind of like one of those things like, oh, today I've got my therapy appointment. Like, not like afraid to tell someone. And if you want to call in and join this conversation of where you felt maybe labeled or myth or found that the diagnosis helped, or that you fear going to a psychologist or a therapist because of fear of being labeled, or where the therapist has helped you, please call in 866-826-1340. Say it with me, Kirk. 866-826-1340.
By the way, I loved
We
what
need
you
that
just
in
said.
Tennessee.
I honestly, some of the things that you just stated are like absolutely vital, because one thing that, I have seen and dealt with, just, as I talk with other individuals that are dealing with a particular mental health condition, is so many of the symptoms overlap. So somebody with OCD, which is obsessive compulsive disorder, has a lot of the same symptoms as somebody with bipolar disorder and with anxiety. So what you'd said about figuring out what the symptoms are and dealing with those instead of just the overall condition is to me is kind of a form of self-empowerment, because you can figure out, okay, this is the issue I have. I'm losing my cool, or maybe, I'm getting stressed out at this particular venue. And then you look at, okay, what tools can I gain? What skills can I get better at so that I can function in those situations and thrive? So I loved what you said. You need to give yourself the bell for that.
I think you need to give
That was really
yourself
well stated.
you a bell for that. What you said is spot on. 866-826-1340. It's almost time for our first break, though, and we're going to get into more of this. I want to hear some. I know time goes by when we're having fun, but that it is empowering to know like what we're dealing with. You had a thyroid problem and it was causing weight gain. Wouldn't you want to know what the thyroid problem is, so that you're not just gaining weight, or blood pressure or anxiety doesn't have to be lived with, and it's a learned behavior. So we can unlearn anxiety as well. And if we brush it under the rug and pretend it's not there, it can get worse and excel until like phobias and fear and panic attacks, anxiety attacks, and just continue to grow, rather than awareness is key with a lot of this stuff, that we can change our mindset, and from a negative mindset to a positive one, which helps our self-esteem, our self-confidence, and our ability to believe in ourselves as well. When that little voice, because we all have that, we are our own worst critic, that little negative voice, we can squash that with some practice. But let's get to our first commercial break, and we'll be back with Moments of Clarity with Tiffany after this. Stay tuned.
You're listening to Moments of Clarity with Tiffany Werhner. We welcome your input at 866-826-1340. Tiffany will be right back after this.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Hello, my name is Lucy Lopes, and I'm a real estate agent that supports ending the stigma on mental health with Moments of Clarity with Tiffany. I am also passionate about helping you buy or sell your home. With times being so difficult, I'm here to help. Contact me at lucylopes.com. That's LUCYLOPES.com. Let me assist you through this pandemic and know that you are not alone.
Hi, this is Tiffany Werhner, your host of Moments of Clarity. Living with a mental health disorder is not easy. If you or someone you know are struggling with this, please know it's so important to seek treatment and I'm here to help. Please visit the website at momentsofclaritywithtiffany.com to view blog posts and resources on this site to help educate and inspire you to take action, because there's no shame in seeking help for mental health. While you're there, please take a few seconds to sign up for my email list. You'll get some extremely valuable educational and entertaining content that can be sent right to your inbox each week. Plus, you'll also get instant and free access to my guide on managing your anxiety. You can also follow me on Twitter at mocwithtiffany and at Facebook at Tiffany Werhner. And once again, the website is momentsofclaritywithtiffany.com. Thank you so much for your support and for listening to your show, because change can only come when we stand together as one.
Are you looking for a great book? If you like to root for the underdog, Joe Potosi's book is a book for you. A real American Odyssey that will grab your attention with its fast-moving narrative. You won't be able to put this masterpiece down. When the Dust Settled by Joe Potosi. Go to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or Zulin Press.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
We are back to Moments of Clarity with Tiffany Werhner. To join in the discussion, call 866-826-1340. Now, here's Tiffany Werhner.
Hi, and welcome back. And if you're just tuning in, this is Moments of Clarity with Tiffany. I'm Tiffany Werhner. I'm a licensed mental health counselor, and I'm your host. And with me is Kirk Miller, who we are discussing the myths, facts, truths behind mental health. And I was just informed that our show is being aired live on Clubhouse as well, and as well as YouTube. If you have not followed the YouTube channel, please do. It's at Moments of Clarity with Tiffany. Hit the subscribe. We are so honored to have 13,000 plus subscribers, and we'll be having a giveaway once we hit 15,000 of either a 30-second ad of your choice or a guest spot. But we're on LinkedIn Live, Twitter Live, Facebook Live, and if you're hearing us on the radio, 106.1 FM and 1340 locally at least. Welcome back. Okay, so back to the myths and everything. Let's give a shout out to some of the people that are listening to us on YouTube. You got, if you can say hi, Kirk. Hi, Melissa, too. And it's going to be a wonderful show. This is them from YouTube. Summit Innovations watching from Facebook, part 3. Let's go.
That's very kind.
Awesome show
Wonderful
last
people
week.
there.
Facebook, Summit Innovation says, awesome show last week. Really great insight and conversation. Thumbs up. Thumbs up. And then, of course, he says hi to Ed. We've got Jason from IMJ Designs. Lots of love from India. And if you need a design to brand your identity, this is the guy to go to from IMJ Designs. And you've seen some of the ads on the shows. And
they're well done.
Yeah.
Beautiful work.
Oh my gosh. Yes. I will vouch for him 110% plus. On YouTube, it's so cool that you're broadcasting on Clubhouse. Is that in your room? Yes. I think it's just look up I think Jason's doing it actually. INJ Designs, brand identity designer. And Kirk is always a great guest on the show. Agreed. That's right. And we got Joe
so
on LinkedIn. Can't call in with comments or questions. And I was just going to say that. Thank you, Joe. 866-826-1340, 866-826-1340. Say hi to Ed when you call in. And if you can't call in, you're welcome to leave comments on any of those platforms, LinkedIn, YouTube. And if you're having trouble finding any of the links, it's on mocwithtiffany.com. That's my website. Just scroll down on the first page and it should hyperlink to any of these links as well. mocwithtiffany.com. And leave a question. Comment here.
It was funny right before we went to break. So my screen was kind of frozen. And with ADHD, which is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, I honestly get thrown off by little tiny things. And honestly, it's fascinating to just see how my thought process just gets totally lost with one subtle change. But at least, like we were talking about before, I actually know that about myself, and I've learned some coping mechanisms. That's one reason why I'm always like holding my hands. Otherwise, I'm doing something. clicking a pin, as you and I have discussed before, or clicking something without my knowledge.
Clicking a
So,
pen, like I was doing in my
exactly.
counseling session that was telehealth, and they're like, I would appreciate you not surfing the web while we're talking. I'm like, I'm not. And then I have little fidget toys that snap so you can hear popping, but it must sound like I'm clicking a mouse or whatever. I would never
The
surf
fidget
the
toys
web,
actually help.
but it's
I,
just
I actually
sitting
like
there.
those.
Yeah, but I need to find one that doesn't spin or make a noise, I guess. I don't know. But
Well, and that's the hard part. I know that teachers don't, of course, they end up being used as toys and stuff. But they were helpful for me, like fidget toy where I could kind of flick it, and it didn't make much noise. Anything like that that would help, at least for focus. So I think there's always different things that I'm continually learning, and that's one of the other myths too, and I don't know if it's a myth, but it's kind of it's misinformation, which is that there's if you go get help, you're going to get better like instantly, and time frame is subjective, and it's going to be different for each individual. So when you do find out that you're struggling with something, or you're starting to overcome a particular condition, it's really important to give yourself time. And the fact that, say, one person does it one way doesn't mean it's going to work for another. And you'd mentioned earlier in the show, we were talking about, you have to find the approach that works for you.
mhm.
um, I mean, honestly, there's so many different myths and frustrations that people have. I know for me, I had just a grumpy day. It was like 3 days ago, maybe Monday, and just everything was kind
That's
of
fun.
going wrong. And yeah, well, what was interesting is um, I don't know what just happened with my audio, but um,
You had a grumpy day.
I I had to thank you very much for doing that. So I had a
I got
really
you.
grumpy day, and I got frustrated, and I, slammed a door. And it's interesting to me that, once someone is diagnosed, a lot of times people always go to the assumption that, my emotions are related specifically to a condition, which is just not factual. A lot of times, everybody deserves to get frustrated or sad, and there's
Mhm.
nothing wrong with having those emotions. Having them under control is very vital, but I do feel a lot of times that my spectrum of emotions is limited because of a diagnosis. So when I go into, say, a job, or if people know that I have a condition, I feel like I have to be extra cautious. So instead of being able to be sad, I have to be normal to happy. But if I go past happy, then that's a problem too. So
What's
it's
normal?
well, exactly. There's no such thing as a normal, and everybody's going to have, frustration, or get upset in traffic every once in a while. I mean, there's a difference between getting upset and driving into another car, versus just you know turning up the music, or you know I guess tapping the steering wheel a little harder than you normally do. But it's important for people to understand that their emotions are often giving them information, and if they can figure out where the emotion is coming from, then they can figure out, okay, do I need to deal with this immediately? What's the situation? And that's again where having somebody that helps you and can guide you through understanding yourself is so helpful. I think we all have
Mhm.
blind spots,
Yeah.
so for
Even
me,
in
therapists
driving.
definitely help.
Yeah, and you have to see things from a new set of eyes. Another myth, and I love how you say that it takes a process to figure yourself out and everything. But I mean, unless I'm the only one that wasn't, but that a myth is that there's either a magic pill or that therapists have a magic wand and bing. And I've never seen a magic wand that just miraculously cures somebody from whatever they're going through or resolves an issue or whatever. So I guess I was either left out, didn't get the memo of when to pick one up, or no, they don't exist. We don't have magic wands. And the client has to work harder than the therapist. We can give guidance and coping skills and tools and help someone along the way. I did a family session a little bit ago, and it was mother, son, and father. And the mother and son are open to ADHD, that they're medicated. They can see improvement in themselves like night and day, and anxiety. And the father's like, I don't believe in any of that foo-foo stuff, and I don't have anything wrong with me. Now, you know me. I'm like, I could beg to differ. I can tell you a couple things that are wrong with you right now. And then he kind of lightened up and he's like, well, maybe I'm a little depressed and maybe I overeat to cope with that. And then I'm like, and you're probably projecting your depression onto others. He's like, maybe I am. And meanwhile, the others start crying. They're like, oh, he's coming to this revelation kind of deal. And I thought for sure he was going to hang up on this telehealth thing or like tell me about myself, or I don't know, but he actually was able to listen and take it in. But I was kind about it. I'm saying everyone has something, and the ones that say that they don't have something are in denial, or there's something seriously wrong, or they just don't want to know, or they fear the stigma, they fear the myths, they fear the label. So it's like a lot of things. If you're listening, you want to call in and join our conversation, 866-826-1340. 866-826-1340. Call in and join our conversation, ask questions. We don't bite. At least I don't. I don't know about Kirk, but I don't think he can get to you through the phone. So
No.
866-826-1340. And or follow us on YouTube and leave comments if you have a question. And so anyways, there's a lot of things. And if we're listening on Clubhouse, if there's any questions, because I know I can't hear them, they're welcome to call in 866-826-1340 or post the link in on or any questions, come on to the YouTube station at Moments of Clarity with Tiffany. See us live. That's the easiest way, or youtube.com/MOC with Tiffany. But you can just
And
find
you
us.
can always catch the show later too, right? So if
It's
somebody's
always
missing it live, yeah.
It's there forever on all podcast forms: Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Apple, Google, iTunes. I don't know, all of them.
And the other thing too is if you didn't get a question answer, if you had something really important you wanted to share and you didn't want to call in, you can always, catch either Tiffany or I on one of the social media platforms. Shoot us a DM or comment, and we'll always try to get back. One of the myths you actually just spoke about, a myth I've heard quite often is that people that do have a mental health condition aren't able to go into therapy and have an open mind or listen. And just as you just mentioned, you had a perfect example of somebody that called in, and instead of, just shutting off the phone and ignoring it, he was able to listen, which is, very important to know. As long as you're willing to put in the work, you can get things done.
And we don't just snap out of it. It's just one of those things. We have a caller, Hannah. Hannah, thank you for calling in to Moments of Clarity with Tiffany. Welcome. Are you a first-time caller?
Yes, I am.
Well, there you go. Welcome. Thanks for calling in. How can we help? Or do you have some feedback, or just welcome to the show?
Thank you. I just want to quickly say that I'm from South America, where no one knows about a lot of mental illnesses. And when I came to the United States, I was diagnosed. I was already almost 30 when I was diagnosed as having a bipolar condition. I mean, I had lived my life until then. I lived in 7 countries. I've done a lot of things, and my life was going fine. And then I was put on medication, and I've been on medication since. And ever since I've been put on medication, I've been fighting it because I'm a very health conscious person, and I don't know what the medication is doing to my body. I know it's not only making me stable, but I'm sure it's doing other stuff. So I'm just I'm just saying, is there anyone, or you guys have any solution to this? I'm on lithium.
Well, we're not medication specialists. That's a great question, Hannah. And with bipolar, a lot of it doesn't come on at the onset, is usually in the late teens or early 20s or mid 20s. So for you to be diagnosed around 30 is pretty common. And a lot of people have that fear of oh gosh, am I taking medication that's going to harm me and that kind of stuff. But then I take medication for ADHD and anxiety and my blood pressure medicine and other doctor recommended things. So I'm not afraid to say that. I would rather holistic and that kind of stuff, but I'd rather also live without anxiety and be able to focus and things like that than worry about what some medications would do to my body, because especially with bipolar, and I'm going to let Kirk take the lead on this one because you know what it's like. But
Yeah.
Hannah,
Hannah,
let me just finish my sentence really quick. But who would want to not know when you're going to have an episode of some sort rather than be stable? And that would be more scary to me if I was living with that. So, Kirk, go ahead.
That was a really solid point. Hannah, what I would say is I've been on lithium before. I was on it for a long time. Escalif, which is a long extended release form. And I was on a very high dose. So my lithium level from a blood standpoint was like 1.6 to 1.7. It was really high. We are not medical professionals, so I can't give you advice in terms of medicine. But what I can tell you is from an experiential standpoint, the medications are really vital. I don't think I would have actually survived life if I hadn't been on the medications. And one of the most difficult parts is going through that journey of finding which medications work for you. Lithium is like kind of the gold standard for mood stabilization. And I was also on Lamictal. So one of my favorite combinations was lithium and Lamictal. So you can speak with your doctor about those. But what I would say is I absolutely agree with Tiffany. The scarier part is, you know, not being on medication and literally wondering when things are going to go south.
Mhm.
And I had one particular friend, and you know, he kept kind of going on and off his meds, and he tried to do things holistically. And the last message I have from him is literally, it's just written in crayon. And it was from a mental health institution. He really, really went south hard and fast.
Right.
So as scary as the medication is, and I'm on a couple other medications. One I know that's dangerous for an autoimmune disease, which is Dapsone. And that is literally, I know it's killing, you know, my internal organs, but without taking it, you know, my skin blisters everywhere. And then I end up in like a burn unit. So we have to weigh the pros and cons. And of course, you know, no one likes to take a medication, but before you ever stop or change or anything, please speak with a medical professional and make sure you follow their advice. They're there to help you. And if you're not happy with a medication, you know, there's other options,
There
but you
are a
want to
lot.
follow through with them. Yeah.
There's other
And
alternatives, and talk therapy as well as medication. Good medication management as
absolutely.
well as therapy in combination is the most effective. Hannah, may I ask, do you know which diagnosis you were, like bipolar 1, 2, or cyclothymic?
No, they didn't tell me if it was 1 or 2 when I was diagnosed, but I think from my symptoms, I'm bipolar 1.
Do you have more manic or more depressive symptoms?
More manic.
So that would be bipolar 1. So I have a friend that you might want to follow him. He does a blog and a Facebook group as well called the Bipolar Battle. A friend of ours, John Paler.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
And the Bipolar Battle. And not only that, he's been on the show a few times, and with that, he lives with bipolar 1 and medicated, but he was talking about how he thought he was friends with the Vatican when he was on non-medicated, talking about not friends with the Vatican, calling the Vatican, trying to talk to the Pope because he thought he was best friends with him, and so many grandiose things through that, trying to travel to Thanksgiving to go see his sister on a plane and thought bugs were all over him, which is like fear factor, you know, but trapped in a plane thinking bugs are crawling out of your skin. And he said that's the hardest part when he doesn't feel stable, that to plan vacations ahead of time, not knowing what kind of mood or episode he might be in at that time. But he talks a lot about that, and I would highly recommend following him. I know he's on Facebook and Twitter, The Bipolar Battle, John Paler, and he's been on other episodes of Moments of Clarity as well. So through the archives, he's there as well. Poehler, John Paler. But
He's really good
out there if you want to find out more.
Anything I can write right now. But I need to go in a second, but I have something for you. I'm following Dr. Carolyn Leaf. You might want to check her out, especially for the guy that just spoke and said he has something that might be hurting his body, but it's good for something else. Dr. Carolyn Leaf, she's excellent. She has a book out called Clear the Mess of Your Mind, or something like that. But she talks a lot about, you know, healing from within. So you might want to check her podcast out with Lois House, or her book.
Leaf.
Dr. Carolyn Leaf, Leaf. Dr. Caroline Leaf, Leaf.
Yeah, I'll check that out. I always like to network with other like-minded mental health professionals. As I say, change can only come when we stand together as one, right? There it is. So
Hannah,
thank
you for calling in.
And I hope that this all goes very well for you. I feel like
check the guy out. What's the battle again? Say the name of the. I'm going to go write it
down. Bipolar Battle.
Bipolar Battle.
Bipolar Battle. I'm gonna go write it down and check it out. Definitely.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much for calling in, and please keep watching the show and giving us your input. It's so valuable to everyone to know that they are not alone. All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
It's
Hannah.
time for our second break, and we'll be back with, I love callers. Callers, you're welcome to call in again, 866-826-1340, 866-826-1340. And we are going to take our second break, and we'll be
challenges is like building a house. You must build from the ground up. You must learn how to make more money, save more money, grow your money, and protect your money. Forever Forward Financial specializes in teaching you these 4 basic money skills so you can achieve your dreams and end your worry. Call us today and schedule your complimentary, no obligation meeting to discuss your needs and concerns. Call Scott Bigley at 727-422-7761.
Are you having trouble staying sober after you've completed rehab and need a positive environment to help you continue sobriety? At Real Recovery Sober Living, we strive in both community and environment for men in early sobriety to help support you while in early recovery. For only $750 a month, we cover everything you need when it comes to a safe, clean, and accountable environment necessary for success in sobriety. Check out our website at realrecoveryfl.com. That's realrecoveryfl.com. We have 6 locations in Tampa, St. Petersburg, Clearwater, Brandon, North Tampa, and Bradenton, because everyone deserves a quality, sober living.
Hi, this is your host, Tiffany Werhner from Moments of Clarity with Tiffany. I want to thank you for all your support on ending the stigma on mental health for over the past 7 years and with over 600 episodes, as well as several award nominations and placing as a finalist in 3 categories on the People's Choice Podcast Award last year. If you're listening to this on audio, please visit and subscribe to my YouTube channel at Moments of Clarity with Tiffany and enjoy viewing previous shows in case you missed any live. If you're interested in advertising and would like to promote your company, it is is affordable and an effective way to get your company the attention it deserves. I also welcome potential guests as well, and all information can be found on my website at mocwithtiffany.com. Thank you again for your continued support, as change can only come when we stand together as one. Hi, this is Tiffany Werhner, your host of Moments of Clarity. I'd like to give a shout out to musician-songwriter Don Lawson, who wrote, produced, and performed all the vocals and instruments on my Moments of Clarity theme song. Don gained his inspiration as a mental health counselor himself. He's always looking for artists to record his songs, and you can hear more of Don's music at reverbnation.com/Don Lawson. You can also check him out on Twitter at Don Lawson Music. Thank you so much, Don, for your contribution to Moments of Clarity and ending the stigma on mental health. It's awesome.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Now back to Moments of Clarity with Tiffany Werhner, licensed mental health counselor. To engage in the conversation, call 866-826-1340. Here's Tiffany.
And hi, welcome back to Moments of Clarity with Tiffany. My name is Tiffany Werhner. I am a licensed mental health counselor, and I'm your host. Today we're talking about the truth, the fact, the myths, and of a mental health diagnosis with my good friend Kirk P Miller. And we're welcoming callers, 866-826-1340. If you're just tuning in, we had a wonderful caller, Hannah, who was talking about wanting to get off her medication. That we're talking about how we're not medication specialists, but welcome to that if you ever choose that you want to go holistic approach, it's kind of you're up to you to decide if you want a life of mental stability versus taking that risk. It's everyone's individual. Everyone has their own choice, and that's the thing is that we all have our choices in life. And so welcome back, Kirk P Miller, and we have callers calling in if you want. 866, once again, 866-826-1340. 866-826-1340.
The caller we just had, I think that's actually a myth that's worth bringing up. A lot of people are scared to get help because they're worried about medications. And one of the things that, I'm always cautious about and try to let people know is that, the medications are something that is unknown and always scary. If you haven't taken medications, nobody likes doing it. But there's so many different conditions that people take them for all the time. And when you are diagnosed with something and it's a proper diagnosis and you start that medication journey, it can be really tempting to kind of jump into say, I don't need medication because I can do this holistically. Depending on the condition, I do believe that holistic approaches and say physical activity, getting some sunlight, walking, keeping your stress level low, those things all help. But there are some things that just need medication. And there's absolutely zero shame in taking a medication that helps you thrive. And that is a huge myth that, okay, I'm weak because I have to take this medication. That's not weakness. When you're taking a medication that's prescribed to you, that's something that it's self-care, number one, and it's a form of empowerment. You're actually taking steps to make your life better. And just taking that step on its own is actually a holistic approach too.
It could be scary. I have a myth. When people say, so they come in for depression and they get on an antidepressant and they say, I don't need it anymore because I don't feel depressed. The myth is it's because it's working. It's like, don't stop taking it because all of a sudden you don't think you're needing it anymore because you feel happy. It means that the medication started to work. And
it's working, exactly. Which actually is fairly common. I think I kind of knew when I was really hitting a stable point because my doctor was like, do you want to come off a little bit on this medication? And I was like, no. I was like, everything's working. I was like, I don't want to touch it. So, and in the past when I was beginning my journey, oftentimes, I would battle with, my family about taking medication with the psychiatrist. And, you know, I was taking a big, I mean, I don't even know how to describe it. If you looked at my medicine shelf, it was just like 300 different bottles. So it can be really frustrating, but as you fine tune the process, you can figure out what works for you. And, you know, the key part that we're all trying to get to is being happy and successful in our own life. And for me, you know, yeah, there's some things out there, and there's always the worry, what is this going to do? Like the medications I take that are off label, they've never been used for this long in a human for this purpose. So I don't know, but I do know that I would rather have, you know, I know this sounds pretty drastic, but I'd rather have a shortened lifespan and live it well. For me,
Not even guaranteed that it's
exactly. So it's an unknown. We don't know. And for me, what I do know is that the bipolar and the swings, that is something that I'd never want to have returning to my life. You know, it would just take, yeah, it would just take my
products that are complete restrictions, but you would rather not have mood swings than go through that.
Absolutely. Manias are not
I know
fun.
your mom,
Depressions
and
are.
I'm sure that they agree that they go through that. So,
No, absolutely.
hi. So, as your family part, you know, extended family by choice, I don't want to see you going through that either and suffering. And with how people, when they would come into your house, your obsessive compulsive, like it's just that kind of stuff, like would trigger. And anybody that's heard past shows, Kirk always has to end a text with 3 emojis, like heart, flower, heart. And we went through
Gotten better.
can you pick some like some different ones, not the daisies and stuff? And then we went into, and then I started challenging him and calling him out on it. And now he's using one. He's using
I'm getting
one.
much better. So I'm down to one. Yes.
It's exposure
So
therapy. I'm like, just try one. And he'll do one. And then he has the little diamonds, like there's 3 stars. And he's like, I still got the 3. And I'm like, it's still one emoji though. And then
it's a little
I don't
better.
know, after pressure and exposure, I'm like, just try it. And you know, it's driving him nuts and he's nail biting and stuff like that. But then nothing bad happened, did it?
Well, and that's the joy of honestly becoming better too. It
Yeah.
feels good to be successful in your journey, and as you try to become better at whoever you're trying to be, or your job, your life, your art, your passions, being stable is worth the effort, and being in a place where you feel everything is properly managed is so vital, and it's so powerful too.
You texted me 3
So,
times
you know,
this morning to prepare for today, and not one of them had more than 1 or 2. And they
I
were
know.
not the same. I gotta tell you.
I'm working on it.
Well
It's
done.
hard.
Because you
So,
know that if you do it, I'm gonna call you out on it and make you retype it. And you're like, let's just try it again, try it again. And then your mom gets in on it and she starts putting 3 emojis, and it's because we have like group chat. Because if I don't have his mom on the chat, I'll not hear from Kirk so promptly as well. But I like to include Jeannie, your mom too.
it's definitely helpful. So,
Yeah.
especially
Plus,
anytime, especially with
otherwise, I'll be
ADHD.
texting both of you. It's time consuming. Just put everybody on one. We have 3 minutes left, so we're going to close up now and see you tomorrow for part 4 of this 4-part series. And it's going to end up probably being like 5, 6. I don't know. We'll keep up and make a point to do this, you know, periodically, because I really like this topic, and I know that it's helping a lot of people on, you know, shredding the shame and guilt of feeling that there's a mental diagnosis when everyone has something. It's okay to not be okay, right? It's okay. And
Absolutely.
it's address the issues and and reach your full potential in life. A lot of people say, I wish I would have addressed this earlier, because I would have reached my full potential, and I would have applied for that job I was scared to apply for. I would have done better in high school or college because I addressed the ADHD or other things. So many things. But we're short on time, Kirk.
Perfectly said.
One last takeaway, and then I'll just close the show for now.
I think what you said was perfect. I think that, you know, we all want to live a great life. So, you know, be kind to each other, and join us tomorrow. We'll
Don't you
continue the
steal my
conversation.
takeaway, my slogan.
I know, I
Come on.
stole yours.
You almost did. Be kind to yourself and a stranger. You never know what they're going through. Yeah. Almost stole it. Almost. And please tune in tomorrow. We're on every Thursday, Friday, 12 to 1. So we see you tomorrow for part 4 of all of this. And think about a question you want to ask and call in tomorrow, because change can only come when we stand together as one. And we love callers and we love helping you. And it's free. You got a licensed therapist, nominated award-winning author and violinist, and someone very experienced with all of that. And then you get to say hi to Ed too. So cheers to the end of our show. Be kind. See you tomorrow.
Put in the time, you'll see how you grow. Don't put yourself down, time for a change. Believe in yourself, time to rearrange. Be your best friend, bring hope to your day. Lose your critic, get out of your way. Now it clicks, moments of clarity. Now I hear moments of clarity. Now I get it, moments of clarity. To yourself be kind, it will please your mind. Find your joy, trust in you. Put in the time, you'll see how you grow. Many kinds of love you get to define. Find self-love, you're so alive. Now it clicks, moments of clarity. Now I hear